Hi guys, today we'll be painting this Lego figure of a Santa Claus. I had a lot of fun painting this. It's oil on a panel of MDF and in this video we'll go over the whole process. Happy painting!
To start off, I first made a sketch on my panel and went over that sketch with some very thin paint, watered down oil paint, because I use water soluble oil paints, so I don't need any turpentines. And then to start, I like to first block in some of the reds, because that's, well, a very dominant color in this picture, of course. So first, just gently dab very lightly reds, the darker reds in this case, where I want my shadows to be. And I already continue to darken those parts, as you can see. I'm using Carmine red here, but I'd say alizarin crimson would also work. Now I'm off to the body, filling it with more reds. And I don't do the lightest parts just yet. As you see, I'm very carefully going over here, and I'm not painting any part of the belt yet, just blocking it in. And on the arm you see some highlights, which I also keep empty because I want them to be a bit more vibrant and light in the end. So if I would go over there now with red paint, that would already dominate the piece a bit before I get to it. And that's very important when you paint alla prima, which this technique is, that you paint basically in one sitting. That way you keep the lighter areas unaffected for later on. So you can see all the reds now are in place, and we're moving on to some whites, or maybe some purplish tones. And again here in the beard, I start with the shadowy areas, just indicating the shapes with these shadows, darkening it a bit with a gray purplish tone. Also here, I'm not using very thick layers of paint. It's all very thin. So later on, I can easily go over it again with more color or a different color without having too much impact. Let's speed this up a bit. Time for some greens. And actually, the green which I use is based off a color called Phtalo green, which I really love. It's a very versatile color. You can get very nice teal tones with it, but also very nice darker greens and lighter greens. It's mixed with cadmium yellow when I really want it to be vibrant, and with yellow ochre if I want to dull it down a bit. And if you use it straight from the tube, it's a very transparent. You can go any way with it. Now, I'm going to put some eyes in there. And that's always very tricky, especially if you're painting on a very small scale. Because circles are difficult enough, let alone on a very small surface, and if you're working wet on wet, or as I'd say, alla prima. So I'm really taking my time just getting those little eyes in there. And Lego eyes always have also a nice little white highlight on them. I will add that later on in the process. Until now, the painting is still quite flat, because we need to add some light in there. So let's take some, in this case, pure titanium white, again very thinly, and wherever I want it more thick, more pronounced, I will add it more thick. And if you work very thinly, it's also easier to blend. Like here you have a nice area where the hat has a shadow part and the light part, and I'm just going very gently over that, blending as we go, so you get a nice gradient. And this is what I love about oils. You don't need to do this all in one go. You can take your time. And also, the beard needs attention again. So there we go with some lighter values. Just take the time to sit down and get these shapes in. In the end, it's all the shapes together of light and shadow which create illusion of depth and 3D forms. As you can see, I'm moving all over the place. I'm working on the gloves, the belt, and we're moving on to the shoes, which are the darkest part in the picture, together with the eyes. And now it's time for some more detailing of the reds, making a bit more dark, creating those more intense shadows. Also on the gift, and here we're detailing the belt. And this is a very delicate process of coloring it in. You don't want to smudge the colors together too much, because then you will get very dark browns in this case, if you mix black and red. So I'm using a very fine brush for all these little details and taking my time. Now, there's already a lot of details in the outfit now, so let's go back to the beard, because it feels a bit too light if you judge it next to the darks of the clothes. So we're just darkening it with the grayed down purplish tones, giving it more depth. Also the hat. We all use the same colors for this. Remember, I kept those arm highlights open a bit. Now I'm putting some very light pinkish tones on there. And now we're all shading, darkening parts which need to be more dark, lightening parts which need to be more light. And here we're dotting the eyes, pun intended. Now, I always like to get in some of the background before I do the final tweaking, because it gives you more perspective. And in this case, I would like to keep it a bit painterly and open. You know, it's a bit of a personal project for myself. So I like to keep those rough brush strokes in there. I think that really adds to the dynamic of a piece. And here you see, we're really putting pure white on that beard, because the light really hits on there, and the play of the light and shadows really determine the idea that something is 3D. Also, the gray background is chosen as it's very calm, and it makes other colors really pop. Now this gray is not a gray which consists of black and white. No, it's a mixture of basically all the colors on the palette. So we have a red in there, a yellow, the yellow ochre, blue and white. Now we're adding the final highlights, and then you really see the shapes coming to life. It still seems a bit like it's floating, so what we do is an easy trick. We just add some of the color underneath the package and underneath the feet to make it feel more as a reflection, and our Santa is no longer floating in space. And once all is done, I like to sign just by scratching out in the still wet paint my name. It's much easier than when you do this with a brush and paint.
Thank you for watching this video. Please give a like and subscribe if you'd like to support me in making more of such videos. Happy painting!